Hello and welcome back to day 2 of physical activity in lifestyle medicine pillar 2. Today I will be giving you some information that will help you move forward with this um, pillar and be able to incorporate physical activity into your day. As a reminder, we always do our best to create an inclusive environment, and our goal is to make all people feel welcome and valued. As a quick reminder or review, we have this pyramid, and this pyramid symbolizes that no one component, aerobic, flexibility, strength, none of these is more important than the other. Each has an equal corner of the pyramid, and one is no good without the other. We need all three components of physical fitness in order to really meet the needs of our bodies. So last week I left you with this. What do I do now? And I told you about body weight exercises, stretches, yoga, and Tabatas. Well, I'm going to give you that information so that you can move forward with this. So as a reminder, when we talk about resistance training, we want you to do this at least 2 days each week. When you're working on strength, you're going to do heavier or harder weights with lower repetitions, so maybe 2 sets of 5 to 8 repetitions. For endurance, you use a lighter weight or an easier exercise with higher reps. And so this would look like 3 sets of 15 reps. You can mix it up, and you need to mix it up so that your body doesn't become accustomed to any one way of lifting. One thing that I do want to say, if you are doing resistance training, which I hope you are, you want to make sure that you give your body a day of rest in between each day. So you really don't need to be going every single day when you are doing resistance training. So here are some examples of body weight exercises. I will have a video in the next slide so that you can see what each of these would look like. These exercises will work your lower body, your core, as well as your upper body. One of the absolute best overall body weight exercises that you can do are planks. And I'm going to demonstrate it in the next slide, and I'm going to tell you I obviously don't have that great a form compared to the person that is in the lower left picture here. It is important that you do your exercises correctly. Otherwise, you may not get all the benefits that you normally would, but you also could potentially hurt yourself. So, video. Here we go. So the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate are the planks. You can see my butt is a little bit high in the air. That should be a little bit lower. My core is not as strong as it needs to be. We can do high planks. We can do low planks, and you can see moving down onto your elbows. You could also do side planks, which is a little more advanced. You can also do the side planks high and low. You can also put that upper leg down on the ground if it makes it easier for you to do a side plank. The next one that I'm going to demonstrate are squats. First, I'm going to show you how you want to do a closed squat. Notice that the knees are not going in front of the toes. You can also do a hip width squat. And again, when you're doing this, you want to pretend you're sitting down in a chair. You don't want your knees going in front of your toes. And then we can also do what I like, the sumo squat. Another exercise that you can do is simply heel raises for your calves. You can also do single leg heel raises. And if you can't balance very well, go ahead and hold on to a table or chair. That's totally fine. Something for your hamstrings are called deadlifts. You can do single leg, you can do double leg. You'll notice I picked up my water bottle. I just want to show you how easy it is to just add some type of weight if you need to. It doesn't have to be actual, what we call free weights. The next one is a bridge. This is for core work and your back. Very simple. Raising your core there. Here we have push-ups, and I'm sorry, but I did these push-ups in reverse. I did the hardest one first. Lowering your knees makes it a little bit easy. The next one, I couldn't quite decide where I wanted to do it, so I'm kind of wasting a little bit of time here. But let me tell you, these push-ups, great for upper body, great for your core as well. And so another way that you can do this core exercise or a push-up, if it's too difficult for you to even do it on your knees, go to your bed, go to a chair, and you can do push-ups on the edge of the bed or the chair. And then finally, you can do a push-up against the wall if that is still too difficult. So you would start with the wall and then work your way down to a full quote unquote men's push-up. Next is something called bird dog. I always tell the person to put their arm out first, then their leg. To make it more difficult, you can do crunches in that position. Make sure that you are always working your body symmetrically. So if you do stuff on one side, make sure you do it on the opposite side. The next one is simply a lunge or a split lunge. You can also do walking lunges. So if you have a little bit more space, same thing, bring your arms into it and do it as a walk. Any of these, you can add weights to your hands as well. Finally, something for your triceps. These are just tricep dips. And again, using a bed, using your table or a chair, just make sure that it's not going to move when you do that exercise. The next thing that I want to talk about is flexibility, and this probably should have gone before the weights, but that's okay. Stretching should happen before or after any exercise. If you remember from the previous video, I talked about how a frozen steak, if dropped on the floor, that frozen steak can actually break or crack. But if it's thawed, nice and pliable, if you dropped it on the floor, that's not going to happen to it. Same idea with our muscles. Our muscles are basically steak. If they're cold, they're going to not be flexible, they're not going to be pliable, and you can injure yourself. So stretching should happen before or after any exercise bout that you are doing. One thing to do before you stretch then is you need to warm up. And that warm up can be something as simple as marching in place. It could be doing some jumping jacks. It could be moving your arms in circles. Just do something to get those muscles a little bit warmer. Exercise and stretching is something that you should consider doing every day. Stretching, I encourage people to do it 7 days a week, although we want to see a minimum of 2 to 3 days a week. A lot of people forget to do it every day because if they're not exercising, they're not warming up, and then they don't feel like they need to stretch. But you really should do that. When you stretch, you want to be holding your stretches anywhere from 10 to about 30 seconds per stretch. That allows your muscle to well, there's a lot of physiology that goes into it, but it allows your muscle to actually release and relax. It's always good to do this flexibility not only before your exercise, but after your cool down or as your cool down as well. Here are some samples of some stretches because there are 100 stretches out there. I say hundreds, there's probably more than hundreds. But these are the areas of your body that you want to be stretching. And so I'm going to demonstrate stretches for both the upper and lower body as well as your back area. So going to these stretches, we're looking at the quads or the front of your thigh. If you can balance well, go ahead and do it standing. If balancing is not great for you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it seated and just putting yourself into that hurdler position. From that position, you can also then stretch the back of your thigh with your hamstrings. You can also bring both legs together if you would like and stretch them seated. I always encourage hamstrings to be stretched while seated because if you do it standing up, you're stretching a contracted muscle. This is a figure 4 stretch, and this is something that's going to work for your glute muscles and your piriformis, which is a deep muscle in your butt. And this is a great way to stretch those out. And additionally, you can do a twist like this. And not only do you get your gluteal muscles, you also will get your low back in that twist stretch as well. For stretching your calves, you can do single leg stretch up to the wall. You will want to do it with your knee bent. You'll want to do it with it straight. By bending your knee, you get a lower part of your calf stretched. Again, you can do it with both legs. You can do it single leg. And if you don't have a wall, you can just do it on the ground as well. For your upper extremities, your shoulders, you can do a stretch across your body. You can also stretch out your triceps by doing it up and beyond behind your head. Again, you want to do this bilaterally. This is one that you are doing bilaterally, putting a pretty good stretch. You can do that standing as well. Finally, for low back specifically, child's pose hits your low back, as does cobra or up dog. And then this is called thread the needle, and that's just bringing your arm underneath. You can bring your other arm across. That will get both your upper back as well as your shoulder. And again, you always remember to hold these from anywhere 10 seconds to 30 seconds. Balance is one of the most important areas to work on because as we age, our balance decreases. And that's why so many older individuals get injured from falling. You can see some examples of balancing here. The gentleman in the lower left is doing a single leg. In the middle picture, he's on kind of a jelly type pad, so that gives him a little bit of work to maintain that balance. And you'll notice he kept both legs there because it's a little bit harder to balance on that type of material. And then the last one is actually a foam pad that he's balancing on. Bringing your arms out is going to give you a little bit of help in your balance versus having it crossed over your body. And then you can see the ladies on the right side and how they are working on their balance in a lot of different ways. A simple way to do balance, standing straight up, both feet down, hands forward, and then shutting your eyes. Always make sure that you're beside something so you can catch yourself. When that becomes simple, bring your arms out to the side, palms up, and then shut your eyes. And then go to single leg. You can work your way up. Balance should be worked on every single day. And when you're doing this, think of holding it again, about 30 seconds per trial. An easy way to work on balance that isn't just standing is through yoga. There are thousands and thousands upon thousands of yoga poses, and they start very basic and can go much more difficult. I'm going to show you a few that are great as stretches as well as balance. And you'll see that we've already talked about some of these. The difference between yoga and stretching is yoga, you are really trying to turn inward and focus on your breathing and really clearing your mind and just allowing your body to relax, versus stretches that are more to either warm you up or cool you down from something active that you've already done. And so think of yoga as a time to kind of just relax and be within yourself. So I'm going to go through these poses, and then I'm going to talk you through a sun salutation sequence, because that will get you through an entire yoga sequence pretty simply, and it's a great way to start and end the day. So yoga poses that are pretty easy to do. Again, child's pose, a way to just kind of relax and look inward. Thread the needle, which I showed you earlier with stretches, adding a little bit of a lift there. Cat cow. Cat, pulling your belly up to your back, and that's cow. Cat, breathing out, breathing in. Moving back into downward dog, and downward dog, tough pose. Pedal your knees. You don't have to just sit in the pose. This is a low lunge, and you can do a low lunge with your other knee down if you'd prefer to do it with your knee down and need that balance. And then we move simply to mountain pose. Mountain pose is standing straight. And with mountain pose, you can do a lot of different things. You can add in prayer. You can lift a leg. If you're really good, you can lift it high. I was wearing socks and slippery tights, so that wasn't going to stay there. All I say is do not leave your knee on, or I'm sorry, do not leave your foot on your knee. Either do it above your knee or below your knee, and just do some balancing. Now, this is going to be the sun salutation, and you need to think of it with your breathing. And so we're going to do a we're going to start in prayer, raise our arms up, breathe in, breathe down, or I'm sorry, breathe out as we move down, move out into a plank, into a lunge, breathe up, let the air out, move from your plank down into what's called a chaturanga, which is lowering yourself up into a cobra. Breathe in, breathe out, down into downward dog. From downward dog, you are then going to go back into that lunge, crescent, breathing in, breathe out, bring your other foot to the front, breathe in, and come down through center and end in prayer. You'll notice that I did everything on the right foot that time. The next time through, you then do it on the left foot. A very, very simple sequence for you to go through. And again, we're breathing in and out as we move through the poses. As I mentioned previously, if you do the same cardio workout, eventually it will no longer be considered a workout because our bodies are becoming more efficient at the activity. We have to challenge our bodies to do different movements, and that's where a Tabata comes in. Tabata is taking exercises and putting them into a single exercise session. You get to decide on your timing. You can do 30 seconds of exercise with 15 seconds of rest, or you can do 20 seconds of exercise with 10 seconds of rest. You need to choose whatever's going to work for you that day, and you can see just some examples that I have listed there. Once you've decided on what your timing is going to be for the day, you need to pick out your exercises. So let's do a Tabata in a different way. But before we do that and talk about those Tabatas, I'm going to show you some exercises that you're going to use in that Tabata, and then we'll talk about that a little bit more. So here are some different exercises, excuse me, that you can do. So the first are crunches, and there are a lot of different ways you can use your crunches. You can do crunches side to side. You can lift your legs up, and you can do a little bit of bicycles in those crunches. You can also do a lower crunch for the lower part of your abs. Lots of different ways that you can do crunches. The next one that you can do then that I have here, these are just called toe taps from a plank. And you can lift your legs up, you can tap your toes, and you notice that if it's too difficult for you to do a plank that way, you can also do it from your knees, and that's totally fine. The next one are called skaters. You think about ice skaters and how they move back and forth. The next one are skiers. Pretend you're skiing down the mountain. Pick a point, jump over that line. Next one are burpees. I hate burpees. I hate them with passion. Some people put push-ups in the middle of their burpees. You don't have to, but you can. Jumping jacks. And if your shoulders bother you, you don't have to go all the way up. Bend your arms. You don't have to go all the way over your head. These are called bear crawls. And the bear crawls, you're taking your opposite arm and opposite leg and actually walking like you would if you were a bear. Next, we have, these are called Spider-Man push-ups. Obviously, these are a little bit more difficult. This is followed by mountain climbers. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. These are called walking push-ups, and you go to different directions and do your push-ups. And again, these are ones you can also do from the knees if it's easier for you to do it from the knees. Then we have plank jacks, so jumping jacks from the plank position. And we have mountain climbers. I don't know if you can tell, but I am dying right now because these aren't the normal exercises I do, and my body's not used to it. These are jump squats that you can also do. And then finally, I believe we end with bridges. And bridges, you can do bridge holds. And you can also do up and downs with the bridges as well. So again, as I mentioned on that previous slide, I was dying because I'm not used to doing those things, but that shows you how you can make things different and change things around so that you can make it work for you. And so we're going to take 4 different exercises. So we're going to choose the skaters and the bear crawls and the walking push-ups and the jump squats. And so what I would do then, let's say I choose the 30-15 timing. I'm going to do 30 seconds of skaters and a 15-second rest. And then I'm going to do 30 seconds of bear crawls, 15-second rest. 30 seconds of walking push-ups, 15-second rest. 30 seconds of jump squat, 15 seconds rest. I'm then going to give myself a minute rest because I just finished round 1. Then I start over again and do the exact same exercises, 30-15, skaters, bear crawls, walking push-ups, jump squats. Give myself a minute rest, do it 2 or 3 more times, whatever I have time for that day. Once I've gone through it, that 4 or 5 rounds, then I'm done and it's time for stretching. And so you can actually time these out. For example, if you did 50 and 10 with a 1-minute rest, that means that you're doing 4 minutes of exercise, 1 minute of rest. You do that 4 times, you've just done 20 minutes of exercise. Tabatas are great ways to do these, and you can mix them up. And if you noticed, I didn't include some of the body weight exercises that I showed you earlier on. You can do lunges, you can do squats, you can do any of those deadlifts or whatever, any of those exercises that I showed you. These are just some other ones to add in. Sky's the limit. Do whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. All right, so again, I'm going to remind you, you need to do some type of warm-up before you do your exercises. If you're going to stretch before you work out, make sure you do it after your warm-up. Pre-exercise stretching is really great before a run or some type of strenuous cardiovascular workout, but it's not always completely necessary for strength or light cardiovascular workouts or for yoga. You are going to see permanent flexibility benefits from a post-workout stretch. And those people who are less flexible, you're going to see those happen a lot faster than people who may already have some flexibility. Again, always do some type of cool down. It's going to help prevent your injuries. It gets rid of waste products, and it helps to return your heart rate and blood pressure to normal. It should last several minutes and 3 to 5 minutes. It can be a little bit harder, taper down as you go through the cool down, and then do that stretching right at the end. Remember to set fitness goals, and these fitness goals should be specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-sensitive. And you may need to set some different goals. You may have a goal that is specifically for balance, one that's specifically for cardiovascular, one that's specific for strength. Whatever you decide to do, make sure you make it measurable, meaning I'm going to do it for 10 minutes or I'm going to do it for 20 minutes, that it's action oriented. Maybe my activity one day is walking, maybe another day it's a Tabata. It's going to be realistic. You know that you're going to do your cardiovascular 5 days a week, whereas stretching, you may want to set it for 7 days a week. And then make it time sensitive, meaning I'm going to do Tabata for the next 4 weeks. And then I'm going to reassess and decide maybe I need to change what I'm doing. Maybe it's not working anymore because my body's gotten used to it and you're going to change some things up. So make it time sensitive so that you have the chance to really reevaluate and make sure that you are making some changes. I know right now is questions. I'm going to talk to you about this pose. This is called the crow pose. This is a yoga pose, and I always challenge people to try to get to that pose because even me, this is one yoga pose that I know that I can do, and so I challenge people to try to get to that point eventually. Core strength, upper body strength, really need to have those. So questions, we have a great person here, Kathleen, who will answer what she can. And if there's questions she can answer, she'll get them to me and we'll answer them at another time. So here are sources. And again, I just want to thank you for your time and I hope you have a great rest of your day.